Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to try to talk about this without notes. But I think I can do it. I might leave out some things that I meant to cover, but that is life. We'll see how it goes. But yes, today I wanted to talk about Christianity versus Christ consciousness. And a little background on me in case you don't know, in case you haven't been following. My dad's side is Southern Baptist, and my uncle is a preacher, and my cousin preaches, and they are very devout. They are very of faith. They are very much a part of their religion. My mom's side of the family is what can be best described as Unitarian Universalist. They did go to a Unitarian church, but because there's only like two in Oklahoma, or like maybe not two in Oklahoma, but there's like they're only in urban areas. So my family, they used to drive to these locations to go to that service, but eventually just stayed home, right? But my mom's side of the family is very free thinking. Every time I would visit my grandma, we would sit around this round table and just talk about what we believed in. And it did not follow everyone's specific way of how they thought God was, how they connected with God, how they believed the afterlife was. Like, none of my mom's side of the family believes the exact same thing. And I love it that way because I'm always learning from them. But my dad's side of the family, they're very strict about, there's one way to God. It's only through Christ. So I got to see both sides of that coin growing up, and it did cause a lot of conflict growing up. I grew up in the Bible Belt in Oklahoma, so religion was a big part of everything around me. In on summers, Vacation Bible School was very common, and it was very common to have like pray at the flag or whatever that group was. Um, so yeah, and I was really lucky that I found like the only witches that were in town, because my friends, they all had backgrounds where they were a little more new age or secular or humanist, or just different from the Bible Belt that we were around. So I guess that's why we got along so well. We loved the craft. We loved to do seances and light as a feather, stiff as a board, and read tarot cards and look into astrology. And my friend Stephanie, she was really good at reading palms. She's more of a skeptic now. She married a engineer who is more on the like science mind, and so I think she kind of absorbed that skepticism. But I still remember you, girl. I still remember. And she's like accepts me, but I still remember how good you were at palms. Um, so I was lucky enough to get both of those experiences, in the sense that I didn't get jaded from either of them. But yes, it did cause a lot of conflict. My grandparents were really devout, and they got very frustrated whenever I thought differently, right? Whenever I would say, like, it's cool that Catholics have saints, or Judaism is mystical, or, just the random things I would be allowed to talk about in the other household were not allowed in the religious household, right? And to a certain extent, in the Bible Belt, I had to sort of hide away my beliefs, tuck away my beliefs, because if they don't want to burn you at the stake, they are praying for your soul. And my uncle is very rare, and I'm very grateful to have that family, because he's not the typical judgmental Christian that we have come to know. He is very loving, very gooey, very like in awe of God. They like radiate the light of God. They are happy people, loving people, and not really judgmental. They do have boundaries. Like, I've heard my cousin say she doesn't approve of the gay lifestyle, but she's also not like standing in the middle of Pride with like a shame sign, you know? And she said that she had gay friends and stuff. So it's like baby steps, you know? But also, um, you know, she might disapprove of like gay lifestyle, but she also disapproves of like gambling, but not in like a make me feel shame sort of way, which I want to get to into in a little bit. One of the challenges of having this mixed background is that I will never fit into one specific belief system, one specific group, because it's like the New Age folks, especially if you lean more towards witchy stuff, there are a lot of people who are like, you can't be a witch and a Christian. You can't, you know, um, uh, I think there is a lot of turnoff to Christianity for reasons I'll get into, but, you know, they are skeptical about it. And especially in like which community, because it's more empowering to women, and I do feel like the big majority of Christianity does hold women back. Um, but so, you know, they don't um, easily accept. Hi there, I'm talking about my religious background, but the New Age community doesn't easily accept my connection to God and to Jesus always. And the um, religious types, you know, don't accept my New Age beliefs. And the atheist types, the scientific types, the skeptical types, they just think that I'm like pseudoscience and too woo woo and crazy, right? So I'll never fit 100% into any belief system, and I both love it and I hate it because I can see the value in all of those systems, but also see where they kind of turn me off, right? Um, so um, let's just get into it. So, what is the difference between Christianity and Christ consciousness? I want to say that I don't identify as a Christian because the tenets of Christianity are set up in such a way that if you don't believe in the tenets of Christianity, then you can't call yourself a Christian, right? So, I don't believe, like, there are things about Christianity that I could never like resonate with, and so it's a little difficult for me, having grown up in that dual household, where I could like believe whatever I want and always learn, always grow, to this very rigid way of belief. And if you like, as far as church goes, I didn't, my family, immediate family, my mom and my dad, we didn't go to church on Sunday. We did for a little while. My mom loved to like dress up, but her skirt ripped and then we stopped going. But if you don't grow up in that lifestyle and you hear certain things about Christianity, it sounds weird. It sounds strange. And sometimes it's very confusing to me how you get people to convert when, like, some things just don't add up. Like, they never added up to me. And one of the things is Christ dying for my sins. I feel like that always leads to a lot of shame and guilt, and that is the paradigm that we need to cut away from our society, is shame and guilt. If you look at the, oh, I forgot his name, but I know that Abraham Hicks uses a scale of emotion, and up at the top it has like enlightenment, and up at the bottom it has shame and guilt, and then there's various emotions in between, right? And she uses that so that you can get on the right vibration to align yourself into the right manifestations, right? What you want to attract into your life. And if you are stuck in shame and guilt at the very bottom, then you're radiating at a very low vibrational frequency. And so it's very hard to attract that which you want. But it's not just her system. I think there was an actual scientific, like more scientific person, and it's named after him. But anyway, there is a scale of vibration and how it aligns to your emotion. So, saying like he died for your sins, I have noticed that it has created a lot of shame and guilt among Christians. Like, well, he died for you, right? You should like give him the courtesy and be right to God, do right by God. He died for you. How could you? And the way I like interpret resurrection is totally different. I feel like it's about having faith that there's something on the other side and making that sacrifice for the higher good. I just saw 11:11 roll by. Love it. But the more we keep our congregations in shame and guilt, a couple of things happen. One, I think it turns a lot of people off because if you think of the gay community, for instance, they are just loving who they connect with, who they feel a soul bond with. And I am straight. I do not understand, the attraction. I have tried to I have tried to love women because women are beautiful and they're amazing, and sometimes men really give me a headache. But unfortunately, I'm straight. I'm attracted to men. So, but that's who I connect with. So, shaming those people for who they have made this connection with can turn them off from going to church and can turn them off from connecting with God entirely. But, it's not just them. Like, I have been meant to feel shame for various things, right? Premarital sex or, disrespecting elders. So something like small to something big, right? But as long as we live in shame and guilt, then we can never see our full potential, raise ourselves to the level of what Christ was, right? So that tenet I never resonated with. The Unitarian Church split away from Christianity because they didn't agree with the Trinity. They didn't think the Trinity, whenever I say, the closest I come to the Trinity is Father, Mother, and Child, because me personally, I have a problem with the patriarchal nature of traditional Christianity and how it really puts men ahead of women. And that's something that I could never resonate whenever I was younger either. My mom is a very strong woman. My mom's side of the family are very strong women. And it's like my cousin, Jordan, she is, like I said, they're all, on my dad's side of the family, they're all filled with the light of God. Like, in like the healthiest, sweetest, loving way possible. And she has so much wisdom to offer. She has so much like joy about God and loves to spread it, loves to talk about God. But I remember finding out whenever I was younger, and she also she's daddy's girl, so she loves she just looks up to her preacher daddy, And I remember finding out whenever I was younger that she would never be able to be a preacher because women can't be a preacher in that faith. And I just thought what a shame, because she could really inspire a lot of people with her message, with her love of God, with her love of Christ. And there are so many practices within Christian faiths that really keep women down, and it does not sit well with me. And of course, not all denominations, but if you look at it across the board, they usually are like that. Um, so, but the main paradigm that I think we're shifting away from in Christianity is the shame and the guilt, because we want people to connect with God, right? And I also think we are shifting away from fundamentalism. I'll try to link it below, but I was watching Astrolata's latest video on the Great Conjunction. The Great Conjunction happens in December. It is, I think, the 21st, and it is when Jupiter and Saturn will conjunct in Aquarius. And it's sort of a really big push as we move into the age of Aquarius. We've been on the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And now we're moving into that new age. And so this is a big push to enter that new age. So she looked at the chart as far as like if Aquarius were the societal the different societal houses, right? Like if you have like an Aquarius rising, and how this shift will affect culture, right? So we have been operating in the age of Pisces. Hold on, let me think. Pisces, yeah. So we've been in an era of Pisces, and that had some interesting things in the houses. The ninth house, which is our house of collective beliefs, collective religion, collective philosophy, the ninth house was ruled by Scorpio. And Scorpio is very intense. It's very like this or that, right and wrong, power struggles, it's fundamentalism basically. And now that we're moving into the age of Aquarius, we have Libra in the ninth house. So Libra is more about balance. It's more about understanding the other person. Even if you don't agree with them, it's sort of like live and let live. Let's like live in harmony. And I could never be a fundamentalist because like it just doesn't make sense to me, because the way I have always seen the Bible is it would be like all of the books and the stories you read in high school condensed into one book, and then you take that book and then like scholars copy that book. So scholars over time, they recopy that book and recopy that book. We didn't have the printing press until, hundreds of years ago. But they copied that text and over and over and over again, and that leads to a lot of different interpretations, getting lost in translation, all of that stuff. But the original texts were just a canon of all of the collective stories around the time, right? And the way they conceptualized God, the way they conceptualized history. And so it was just humans like writing that book. And if you notice, the like creation stories, they repeat. They're very similar to other stories in history, like other cultures, Sumerian cultures, ancient Greek myths, all of that. So it's a similar story. Even Christ himself, what his story became is the great story, which is like Hercules. It is Luke Skywalker. It is Harry Potter. It's told over and over and over again, just in different ways, right? So they just copied these stories based on the knowledge of what they had at the time. And our knowledge is always evolving. It's always reaching a higher level of understanding, right? But there's a lot of good stuff in the Bible. There's also a lot of weird stuff and a lot of like uh, messed up stuff, to be honest. But you can get a lot of wisdom from it too. So I don't like to throw the baby out with bathwater. But what I'm saying is we are getting rid of a lot of fundamentalism and moving into an age where we are more accepting and more tolerant of someone else's understanding of these various life meanings, right? And fundamentalism, you can even see fundamentalism in atheists because what I've noticed with atheists a lot of times is they're stuck on that literal interpretation of the Bible, and so they're fixated on disproving that literal interpretation of the Bible. So I kind of like see it as like, you guys are both wrong. Like, you need to find a middle ground, like, to me, it's just more about what God is to me, what Jesus is to me, is that one-on-one connection that only I can make, that only you can make, that relationship that you build, that you connect with those entities, that you like your understanding of those entities. But whenever we get so fixated in the exact wording and the exact things found in just one book, then it becomes a little crazy. It becomes very divisive among people, among religions, among denominations, and I don't think that's what Christ would have wanted. So, and Christianity, it's a very like fandom based type of religion, right? Like, I mean, you do have, one of the tenets is you have to recognize Christ as the Messiah, as the Savior, and that's something I couldn't connect with either growing up, because I think moving out of the paradigm of shame and guilt is one way that we are reforming spirituality, reforming religion, but also moving out of the paradigm of needing someone to save us, waiting for someone to save us. When I read the Gospels of Christ, I process it in a way where it's like there's so much human suffering on earth, and Christ and his teachings give you sort of a rule book on how to mitigate that suffering. But and in the Bible Belt, especially in Southern Baptist faith, there is a term called saved, right? Are you saved by Christ? And usually it is done through this method of sort of getting like Jesus fever or the Holy Spirit, or feeling Jesus in these really intense, like, I'll tell you the moment I got saved by Christ. I was at church camp, and they were playing like all this gospel music, and I was really feeling it, and I felt Jesus in my heart, and I will never, that was a like magical experience. I like cried, and like I was feeling the music, feeling Jesus, feeling the love of Jesus, and it will never go away from me. So that like connection, that relationship will never go away from me. But I still didn't really resonate with the term saved, because I just knew that it was like more of a relationship than it was like I am the victim, he is the hero, right? And what I have noticed, there's been a pattern recently where I have seen people, like the other day, this girl said that she stopped believing in God whenever her teacher that was close to her passed away. And it really confused me because, like I said, I do not believe that anyone is here to save us. I don't believe that Earth is. I believe we're meant to create heaven on Earth, but I don't believe like Earth is without suffering. And I do believe that it's meant to train us spiritually, right? It is a tough place to live. You are going to get human suffering. You are going to lose people you love. You are going to hurt. You are going to feel pain. But whenever you do read the Gospels of Christ, it does give you some comfort in how to go about that pain. If you are carrying a grudge because someone broke your heart, that only hurts you, right? You know, if you are carrying a grudge against someone else, we think of the Good Samaritan story. The Good Samaritan, the Samaritans and the Jews hated each other, and without the love and the grace that you show to a stranger that you don't like, right? Like, we have that now with all the polarity that we have, liberals, conservatives, whatever it is, right? If you hang on to that resentment, then you just continue that human suffering. So, practicing that forgiveness is good for the collective because without it, people would starve. People would, not get that help from their fellow man, from the good citizen. I resonate more with Christ consciousness because Christ consciousness is, it takes a look at Jesus as the man, and less as Jesus as a savior. And also, that's something that Unitarians don't believe either. They don't believe in messiahs. They don't believe in saviors. They do believe in martyrs. We believe that people come on earth over and over again to spread the message of love. So Jesus, John Lennon sang his songs about love, Martin Luther King, this message comes over and over and over again to remind humans to love each other, dang it. But when I think about Christ consciousness, I think of love, I think forgiveness, I think of trust and faith because, like I said, that girl lost faith in God because her teacher died. Christ was stoned for just saying what he believed in. He was hung at the cross. He was treated like crap everywhere he went. And he led a life of suffering, right? And so to have that faith, you have to believe in something higher than yourself and say, I don't know why this is happening, but God, you can take it, right? I don't know why they're treating me this way, but God, please take this off my shoulders. If you try to take that burden on all by yourself, then you will live a very difficult life. You will have a life full of anxiety. You will have a life full of doubt, full of misery, full of depression. And, I have never expected God to give me this good, cushy life. But whenever I study the teachings of Christ, it helps me, and he's one of many. There are many paths to God, and I don't know why that's controversial. Why wouldn't God have many paths to him? Why would he only have this one way to him? And when I say him, I don't even personally conceptualize God as the biblical God, I think it's a little too patriarchal, like I said. I think it's more of an energy, but you can call it source, you can call it, higher power, universe. I feel like for me, universe is too like woo woo. Energy is good, light force. But I keep saying God because it is the most resonant to everyone. But whenever I conceptualize God, I don't see an invisible man in the sky. And that's the thing. You don't have to take the Bible literally. You don't have to take the Bible seriously. I mean, not seriously, but you don't have to take it like word for word. You can have that connection to your higher power without it being like by the book, like literally by the book. Just something to help you process what you're going through, process your pain, so that whenever suffering does happen, then you have a way to put yourself at ease. And it's also not to say, thoughts and prayers and all of that. I feel like thoughts and prayers are important, but we are co-creators, and so it does require action. So you can't just pray and expect the world to change. Like, you have to put it in action too. But you pray to release the burden of those feelings. You pray to release your anxiety in your heart, to release your anger in your heart, and that has really helped me in my life. And so I hope it can help you. If you resonate more with Christ as a man rather than a deity, I would recommend the Jefferson Bible, because he's still a great man, even if you can't wrap your head around, turning water into wine and walking on water and all the miracles and stuff. He's still a great teacher to connect with and to learn from. But did I forget anything else? Do you guys have any questions or any thoughts? I hope no one's mad at me. Because I know people get really sensitive about it. But I also feel like Christ offers a certain amount of protection, because he was strong enough to have that faith whenever he had to face his inner demons and go alone in the wilderness by himself and face his shadow. So I feel like I feel protected by like crosses and stuff. But yeah, I love the guy. Who doesn't love him? Hi, I'm about to wrap up, but if you have any questions or if you want to cuss me out or something. I'm scared that people are going to cuss me out, but I'll try to be strong about it. One of the things that prompted this too is I watched an Amanda Ellis video yesterday about Doreen Virtue. And Doreen Virtue, in case you guys don't know, she was she created tarot decks, and a lot of them were I have one of hers that is like words from Jesus, and I like that deck. But she was always very connected to God and to Christ. And she recently denounced all the New Age stuff. She called us heretics. But a lot of folks are upset about it. I kind of think it's a bit of a grift. if I'm being honest. But if you are in the camp where you are mad at Doreen Virtue, she has her own issues that she is working through, and you shouldn't let like her opinion make you feel bad. Again, we're trying to get away from that shame and that guilt, and so Doreen Virtue, it's like she made this conversion away from New Age practices. She made this conversion, and she hasn't really been talking a lot about like the power of Jesus or anything like that. Her strongest messages have been, screw New Age stuff, and so it's very strange that like it's not. It seems like not a message of Christ, which would be like love your brother, love your neighbor, forgive others. It seems very much caught up in the shame and guilt paradigm. You should be scared of big bad boogeymen. But yeah, it's a very strange thing to experience because I got a lot of wisdom out of her decks. And like I said, I do have her Loving Words from Jesus deck. And it was a great deck. And she has one for angels. And I just don't know why you would be so salty to like your old life. But I do think it's a grift. I think it's like to make more money from the people who like to judge New Age spirituality and who are fundamentalists. But like I said, the fundamentalism is washing away, and we are entering a new age. So, okay, I am done with this spiel today. I will see you tomorrow, and love you very much. Bye.